city where they gotta play up.
Yeah.
I'm from the city where they gotta play up.
I don't.
Coin flippers trying to pay up.
Hey.
I'm from the city where they gotta play up.
They still
I'm from the city
gotta
where they gotta
play
play up.
us,
I'm
man.
from the city where they gotta play up. Coin flippers trying to pay up.
Go. Started out with who they done got me started. Call Katie, tell him make room for the Lamborghini. I trust 27 to lead us through any battle. We had DK out there press. You seen how we did Seattle? Went down 1-3 and then we hop back on that saddle. Everybody want T, but you can't have him cause we got it. A lethal 9 on the side and he gon' always red dot him. 29 got him on lockdown. This Taylor Britt Island. You know Jamar probably open. That boy 7-11. Who your best cornerback? Cause my receivers gon' shred him. And you don't wanna go one-on-one with loose playbook. 91 step on that field and quarterbacks look shook. A couple weeks went by and we done stacked us up some wins. Craig Logan still with us, still the turnover twin. Uzier and man to man, you probably shouldn't throw at him. Orlando Brown came to town, showed us what a bodyguard is. I don't think they want no smoke with us. Forever standing on business, this ain't no joke for us. Money Mackey line it up, that boy forever clutch. Put up whoever you want, it's never slow for us. Ain't nothing changed, 21 still lurking in the cut. 83 reasons why they can't with us. Zach Taylor top dog, it's always win a bust. Hand the ball to Chase Brown, probably won't get touched. Chuck sizzle back deep to receive the punt. Probably gon' run it back, I feel like he the one. Doing my shuffle on him still, I feel like Icky Woods. Whole line protecting Joe like a tiger should. Imagine having Trent Irwin as your fourth string. If VJ Hill hit you, you feel what that force bring. 1, 2, 3, nah, we need 4 rings. This the jungle, you can't come in here and pull strings. Look close, look how DJ read that offense. Sin Hubbard and Osai, yeah, we all in. Nick Scott ball hawking overwatching. Dax Hill an interception that look flawless. It's really hard to lose when K. Adams rooting for you. If you need a couple yards, Earth gon' get it for you. We got Tanner Hudson now, Sample still too. Yoshi gon' go get that ball just like a dog do. Already knew they had to play us, but this part two. I'm from the city where they gotta. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. It's time to pay up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. I'm from the city where they gotta. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. It's time to pay up. Who they?
Hey y'all, who dey? What's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I bring you sports from a West Side point of view right here from the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of the back-to-back AFC North champion Cincinnati Bengals. Now, do me a favor, if you found the show, hit that like and subscribe button. Smash that thumbs up. You guys are awesome. I'm up to 2,444 subscribers. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. If you're watching on Facebook or Twitter X and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I always ask the same question. Why not? Please do so. Please go to the YouTube channel Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button. Hit the bell for the notification. Every time I go live, you'll be notified. Like I said, we used to do super chats. I can't do super chats anymore. I got demonetized. Still working on trying to figure that out. But I am coming to you live from this glorious place down here. And it is the Ice Cave. And the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. So if you're looking for a house, a condo, apartment, if you have a rental property you just don't want to manage anymore, give T Properties a shot and they will take care of the rest. And you know it, I still say it, we hit the jackpot when we drafted Joe Burrow. If you want any of the Jackpot Joey stuff, the hats, the flags, the shirts, and that stuff, go right there to jackpotjoey9.com. If you want any of the beer, it's delicious, award-winning. It is at Break Brewery. We might have hit the jackpot with Jackpot Jakey. I don't know. If he wins this week, you never know. There might be some Jackpot Jakey stuff coming out. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, remember, portions of the proceeds go to the Joe Burrow Foundation. So you're not only wearing cool stuff, drinking delicious, award-winning beer, but you're helping people out. And that's what this is all about. Trying to help each other out. What's up to everybody in the chat? We got Brad's in there first, Strangers in there, Kevin, Dustin's in there. What is going on? All right, guys. So we have a juggernaut. And I mean a juggernaut of a Thursday night game. We have the Squealers with Taberski. We have the New England Patriots with Zappy. I mean, it's going to be an unbelievable quarterback matchup. I'm completely kidding. I'm so happy we got Jake Browning instead of either one of those guys because, honestly, at this point, I really do think Jake Browning could take us to the playoffs. Can he win a playoff game? Can we go that far? I don't know. But if he come anywhere close to what he did Thursday night, we got a pretty good shot. Now, my guest today, Evan McPhillips, he and his boy Malik Wright were down there at Jacksonville, hanging out in the 4-star logistic condo, but they got to see Jackpot Browning firsthand. Let's go see what Evan has to say about how Thursday night was and what do you think about Jake? Evan, what up, brother?
How we doing?
Good, man. Good. You don't look like you got a tan, from Jacksonville at all.
No, we stay busy working, and unfortunately, the TV was not outside, so I had a lot of football to watch. Man, it was conference championship weekend. My boys were out there taking care of Georgia, so I had to make sure I was watching the good football.
Exactly. All right, so let's talk about Jake Browning here, and this game of now his first game. I don't think he played awful. I don't think he played great, but I don't think he played awful. Now you go from that game to what he did Thursday night, where he had one of the best games a quarterback could possibly have. I mean, he played almost perfect, to be honest. What is your thoughts of him moving forward? Is it going to be closer to what we saw Thursday night, more of what we saw the first week, or is it be somewhere in the middle, or lean in? Where's your button at? Which way he's going to be at here?
Right. I think the easy answer is somewhere in the middle, right? Because obviously that first game, his first start, and clearly running an offense that just does not fit at backup quarterback skill set or many quarterback skill set. And that's not even necessarily a knock on Browning. There's 20 other starting quarterbacks in the league that probably couldn't handle running the Burrow system very effectively anywhere near as well as Burrow does. I think that was probably a lot of the frustration after the first week. And you heard it in the press conferences where Jake Browning was saying, give me the reins. I know the Burrow offense. I can do this. And the coaching staff was like, yeah, we believe in you. And everyone was kind of like, are you sure about this? And it went about as well as everybody thought. And I think that was probably some of the reasoning for the pessimism, or just I would call it realism about, hey, like here's what the future looks like for the Bengals in the short term if they keep doing this offense. And sure enough, they pivoted to less of the empty, stayed doing more of the gun runs, but using the run game, using more than just mixing in the run game.
That right there, I thought was key. Chase Brown, I think, and I know Jake Brown had a great game. I really do think Chase Brown changing it up, being the change of pace back, I really do think that helped the running game out a lot more than he's actually getting credit for.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And so, like, you saw the boots, the half-field reads, the high-low concepts where, hey, here's a guy running in the flat as a check down, but you have that read right in front of you, and you have one guy behind him near the sticks. Whatever guy's open, throw it. And sometimes you get the stick throw. Sometimes he made the right reads. That's what we said we needed the quarterback to do, right? Not have the turnover-worthy plays, make the right reads, and he did that in spades, and he was very accurate. I want to make sure we give him credit where he's due.
Well, he was at 83, 85% completion rate, something like that?
Yes. And obviously some of those were not necessarily so like there's completing the pass and being accurate in that sense, but there's also being what we might call accurate plus, right? Where like you hit the receiver on a drag route in front of them to where they can catch it in stride and keep running, versus like you throw it behind them and sure they catch it, but then you slow them down.
Slows them down, right?
Right. So obviously there were a couple of those that Jamar made that, but again, this is backup quarterback in his second start. I'm not trying to ask too much. I want to make sure we're painting an accurate picture of what happened now that we've kind of all come down from the high of the win on Monday night.
Right.
Again, I want to make sure, one big time throw, 0 turnover worthy plays, 2.3 seconds average time to throw, which was first among quarterbacks. So protecting himself, and the offense is protecting him by having a quick time to throw. He's being decisive. He feels more comfortable. That's all good. When you look at just kind of what they did on the offense that helped a lot is the play action we talked about, using those easy buttons.
Right.
8-10 for 11.4 yards per attempt on those play action dropbacks, 9.6 yards per attempt, which ranked 5th out of 29 quarterbacks in week 13. But when you look at his average depth of target, it was only 4.9, which was dead last among those 29 quarterbacks. So what that tells us is there were a lot of yards gained after the point of where he was targeting it. So though the output was impressive, I don't want us to get too crazy with, hey, he threw for, 300 some odd plus yards, and it was, all crazy dots and dimes. I mean, there were good throws. but also the receivers averaged almost 7 yards after the catch per reception. Catch it at the line of scrimmage, you're almost at the sticks already. Like, that is something they have not gotten all year. 229 total yards after the catch in the game. So I want to make sure we're giving the receivers their credit as well for what they did and how they helped to prop up the offense on their
It helps when you have T and Jamar in a game at the same time.
Right. And you had 6 players with 25 plus receiving yards. So you have a bevy of weapons that's helping you out. That makes it so hard to just lock in or guard one spot. And then you brought up Chase Brown, 2 10-plus yard carries on only 9 attempts, and he forced 3 missed tackles. Mixon getting involved as a receiver, which is what he does best. 6 catches on 7 targets with a nice one-handed grab. These are all things that you can replicate. You can keep going forward. Again, we don't expect to see the crazy elite output and almost 500 yards of offense each week. But
I'll take it, though. I'm okay if he does it again.
Right, but I think there is, like, cause for, like, though there are some fluky things there, like, you know, I talked about the yards per attempt versus the target range. You're not going to get that much production after the catch all the time, but there are sustainable things if they keep up with this kind of offense for sure.
I mean, it was just refreshing to watch. And again, we pounded and pounded and pounded all year. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. And they give up on it too easy. I do agree with that. But there's also been times where, you know, they don't get yardage. You know, you're running the ball twice, you're getting, 1-2 yards or minus. That wasn't happening Thursday. And one thing with that, and I want to go back to Chase Brown, because I kept banging on that drum all last week that we got to find out what we have with Chase Brown. We found out with Yoshi and all the other guys. Now Chase Brown had been injured up until the week before against the Steelers game, and he got 0 touches, which I thought was surprising. So Zach made a conscious effort he was the first one to get the ball. First running play was Chase Brown. I think first 2, were Chase Brown. Either way, that right there, and I keep saying this, it's the change of pace. I mean, Chase Brown is younger. He's faster. He has more explosion than Mixon does right now. And you said it yourself, Mixon does a better job of catching the ball out of the backfield now. That right there, I really do think that kind of threw Jacksonville's defense off a little bit because they weren't expecting Chase Brown. They didn't know what they had with them, so – we just speaking on the Chase Brown effect that you saw personally there Thursday.
I mean, they did a great job of getting him out in space on some of these toss runs, taking advantage of the defensive line and their aggression. We talked about it leading up to the game a lot about how you were going to have to find ways to slow the pass rush, whether that was through play action, through a run game, just different ways you could do that. If it's a running back or a tight end, just when they run the flat route, just slightly chipping the defensive end, taking away that outside, forcing them back inside a little bit, and just buying an extra half second to, a second. They did a great job of using these runs that attack the aggression of the ends, the inside out runs, the toss runs that got out in space and just let Chase Brown, who, if there were concerns about him being a rookie and maybe having processing issues, okay, don't read the gaps at all. Here you go. We'll toss you out in space and you just read here 1 or 2 and then make yourself right, play that space, use your feel, and try and get as much as you can out of it. Like you and many other people, we were all banging the drum saying, first of all, like, even if it's not Chase Brown, even if it's Travion Williams at this point, you can't be giving Mixon 95% of the carries.
That's what I've been saying the whole time. Like they got to get some of the carries off Mixon. That's been my biggest thing because I think Mixon's going to wear down. I think he has started to a little bit, and that's where last year Pirine, I think, took a lot of load off Mixon, and that helped a lot. And we haven't had that this year.
Right. I do want to see still. I know Joseph Osai started to get some snaps, and all 8 of them.
Finally.
All 8 of them, but he was productive in that time. Got a sack, got a pressure. Jordan Battle continues to stand out, man. 5 total tackles, pass defense, and a sack. One thing, man, that I was talking with Joe Goodberry about over the weekend was how many snaps do you think Charlie Jones has played on the season now? In 4 games? He's been active for 4 games, I think.
Not enough, because actually this is funny. It goes to the question here Johnny Paps has. He said, will we be seeing Charlie Jones more in this offense role, knowing their 5 wide receivers are healthy now. Tough, but yeah, go ahead.
Take a guess, Jeff. Take a guess at what you think between special teams and offense.
4 games?
Yeah.
Less than 10?
9.
All right, hey, there you go.
You were the closest of anybody I've talked to yet. 9. And that's just after we had him coming out in camp looking good. I know that he wasn't necessarily picking up on everything super fast, but you're telling me that you can't find a way to get the guy on the field.
That's Well, Yoshi, I think, has stepped up and taken some. I know it's a different. He's slot, and he's been great.
He's been great on special teams, though.
Yeah, so that's where I think a lot of that is happening. And Charlie Jones was injured with his thumb, so I think that's hampered him. I'm looking for, like Pap Sears says, I'm looking for them to add, him into this offense. That's just another wrinkle we have. So, I mean, it is interesting. He's only had 9 snaps. I mean,
right? Yeah, I definitely want to see more of him. This is, as much as we want to compete, win games, and still try and make the playoffs, as that is still mathematically possible. There's a non-zero chance. You still want to evaluate this talent. You still want to get these guys going. You don't
find out. You still got to find out what you got with these guys.
Right.
That's to me. That's still. I agree. That's still a key to this season going forward. You have to find out what we have with these guys, because going into the offseason, and I've talked about this a lot, it's going to be a big offseason. You got free agent DJ Reader, free agent Jonah Williams, free agent T. Higgins, free agent Cheetah Uche. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of big names that have been big keys to this team in our last two runs here. So we got to find out what they're going to do, who they're going to sign, what they're going to draft, all that stuff. So that still has to be an evaluation, which, I mean, they should do that anyway, even if Joe Burrow was still playing, but I think it's bigger now that Joe's not playing.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating that it took obviously there's nuance to this conversation, right? Because the coaching staff sees things that we don't, but sometimes, man, like I've told the story before about how we talked to someone from the coaching staff on the Bengals back in the day when Mixon first got drafted, and he said the guy designing the offense at that time did not believe in throwing the ball to the running back like it was ghosts or something. Didn't believe in it, right?
Right.
Sometimes we do give these coaches a little bit too much credit. They know so much about football that maybe I myself sometimes can't see the forest through the trees, right? But sometimes the outside perspective is, like we can't give 98% of the carries to Joe Mixon. This is a very simple observation, but it took 12 weeks to figure out, right? Same thing for Nick Scott.
That's the thing. It's like I've asked people that, and people ask me that. I'm like, well, Chase Brown was injured, but then I back that up with, well, you had Trevion Williams. You should have gave him some of the snaps too, and they didn't do it.
Right, and then there's Nick Scott, where it's like I don't want to bag on the guy, but at the same time, anybody with 2 eyes after 5 weeks was like, this guy was signed to be a veteran and a stabilizing force, and he can't line up in the right spot.
It's not working
by like week 7 and 8. So why is he out there? And if the complaint was, again, that Jordan Battle maybe wasn't lining up correctly, didn't know everything, well, neither does Nick Scott. So why don't you play the guy who doesn't miss tackles? Because Jordan Battle has played for 3 weeks now, hasn't missed a tackle, but Nick Scott was one of the worst at it. So it's like
that has been one of the biggest disappointments this year for me is the defense, the missed tackles. That has been huge this year. Now I'll get to Dustin here. Evan, this goes to what we were just talking about. He's asked this question. Yeah, Evan, not to look too far ahead, but the Bengals have a plan at looking at the linebackers in the off seasons, or is a poor play by Pratt just a down season? Now, the funny thing is, I always caveat to this, because I go back to me, the best game the Bengals have played this year was the San Francisco 49ers game, one of the Sucky Niners, as I always call them. And Pratt and Logan Wilson had great games. Now they've went down from there, and I think a lot of it, for me, is missed tackles. They are missing too many guys are trying to go after the ball. And Pratt has been very successful at it.
Right there.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Is that I feel like, and maybe this is a coaching thing where they've said, hey, we really want to be focused on turnovers, because they were obviously hawking the ball like crazy at the start of the season. But we know those are not necessarily sustainable. And what happens when the turnovers dry up, right? Because you have to be consistent down to down and have the turnovers, not just we're going to be super high end turnovers. And if that doesn't happen, like, shit, we'll get them next drive, right?
Right.
that is a problem. We saw in the Texans game, right? The guy had already missed a field goal. It was his first time kicking in an NFL game.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of giving him like a 58-yarder to try and win the game,
give him a chip shot.
You try and rip the ball out when all you got to do is just tackle him short of the sticks in the middle of the field with the clock running.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to even try and get up clock and do all this other stuff.
Yep.
That's the stuff that you lose. That's obviously a big glaring mistake.
That has been, in my opinion, other than not being able, like the middle of the field has been way too open, way too often. That and missed freaking tackles. The missed tackles that drive me nuts. It's like I see him trying to rip the ball. It's like, all right, there's two guys there. One of you tackle him. You don't both need to be going after the ball.
Right. And so that's the other part. And I want to be fair to them because obviously with a younger secondary behind you and the defensive line not being healthy and not playing up to standard either, like obviously life is going to be a little bit harder on the linebackers. But also, like we said, you can't be big play hunting and not have that down-to-down consistency, which has really been the problem, right? I do think, to answer the original question, that it's just kind of a down year for them, that the stuff in front of them and the behind them is a little out of sync and the communication's maybe not as good. But also, as much as Von Bell and Jesse Bates were kind of leaders in that secondary, okay, you guys both got contracts. You guys have both been here for 4 or 5 years now. You are now the veterans of the defense. You are the heart and the captains of this defense.
Mm-hmm.
You have to step up. You can't let this stuff happen. Like you guys have to be that stabilizing force now. So I do feel that there is a good degree of responsibility with them. Again, maybe that's some coaching with saying, hey, let's go hard at the turnovers. Let's play fast. Let's play loose. But it's got to be more consistent down to down for sure. The linebacker play has not been up to par. Both of the guys are in the bottom quartile of linebackers in terms of PFF grade. Logan Wilson at 48, Jermaine Pratt at 56. That's out of 64 linebackers. Just not a good down to down consistency year and not good tackling, like Jeff said.
Yeah, that's been, and to me, like I said, that has been the most disappointing thing. The most consistent disappointing thing, because I mean, even Thursday night, it wasn't like we had a shutdown defense. It was basically whoever had the ball asked him that it was going to win the game. Is what happened. You know, Money Mac. I know you love that nickname. I'm sorry, I call him Shooter. Shooter made the game-winning kick. So, you know, well, it is. I don't know how you fix it. And I'll tell you this: I had Chris Welch on earlier this week, Reds broadcaster. And he said something that I thought resonated with this year's Bengals team. Mm-hmm. He talked to Lou Piniella, the Reds manager who won the World Series in 1990. And 1991 was a terrible year for the Reds. And Chris asked Lou, what would he have done different? He said he would have turned the roster over a little bit more. And that was the one thing that I'm holding my hand up here too, that I thought was a good thing. And it might be a good thing, but it hasn't turned out the way. They had the exact same roster and everything. To me, it almost felt like the farther we got into the season, that the Bengals were just let's just hurry get through the season. Let's get to the AFC Championship game. Let's get to where we were at before. You know, that's what it almost felt like. You know, that they already expected they were going to get there, and I didn't think the Bengals would do that. But going back and watching the games and watching what happened and how the season has unfolded again before Joe got hurt, that's just kind of how it seems like to me. It's like, maybe next year there does need to be some kind of changes, which there's going to be, because there's going to be some of these guys that are free agents. They're not going to be here next year. We're going to have different guys come in, maybe a couple of tweaks here and there to the coaching staff to just change the room, change the vibe, you know, get that hunger back. What do you think about that?
I think you're right, because I know Joe Goodberry's talked about how a coaching staff and a quarterback, after they've been together for 5 years, if they haven't made it to the Super Bowl or haven't won one, then they generally don't.
Right.
That's, you know, obviously there's going to be something to buck that trend eventually. There's different extenuating circumstances, but there are for every team. Every team has dealt with that extenuating.
I mean, you look at the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, they went and went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I mean, they won against us, but before they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and then they had a couple down years, and then they came back. So
right. It's just it speaks to the variance of the league. We know that there's generally 3-year kind of windows when teams are built, and then they kind of crumble, and then they got to be built back up, like you said. But yeah, man, there's got to be some fresh ideas, right? There's got to be some new juice injected into it. If you just run it back with the same coaching staff and everything is the exact same, or even if you get rid of somebody and you hire from within, you're not getting this outside perspective, right? The beauty of having so many different perspectives is you kind of cover up for each other's flaws.
Mhm.
You get new perspectives on things. You can get, when you can't see the forest through the trees and someone goes, oh, why don't we just do this? And you're like, oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Yes.
Right. Well, sometimes when you're in the trenches, you can't see outside. Yeah.
Right. And we see
and that goes for players too, as well. I think that's why
Yeah.
maybe a different, which I know we had a couple new guys like Nick Scott, but that hasn't really worked, you know?
Yeah. And when you look at, like, let's say just even draft success, right? When you put the best drafters, there's not, I'm sorry to say it, there's really, when you statistically look at it over a long enough period of time, no one is really any one better drafter than the other. Maybe positions, but overall,
it's luck. You do the best you can, and
it's
a crapshoot.
But the most success you get is when you take everyone's opinions and you put them together into a consensus board, and that's when you get the most accurate predictor of draft success. And it's the same way with the coaching staff. If you want to be the best you can be, having those different perspectives and different backgrounds can lend you, if, hey, we need to game plan for this opponent this week. Someone goes, oh, well, 2 years ago, we played X team just like this. We can do this. Oh, okay, great. This worked for us when we played a team similar this year. Like, let's do that. Like, you see it, a bunch of different organizations constantly are hiring from within, hiring from outside their organization also to try and build in this medley of, you want that continuity of the message and stuff that you want. But like you said, when it's been the same thing for years, when we've been sitting here, and I think Joe Burrow shares some blame for the shape of the offense as it stands right now. And sometimes this is just how it naturally developed, right? When you came in the COVID offseason, you're just trying to make sure Joe Burrow's comfortable. You build the boat out of whatever Joe Burrow wants, right?
Right.
And then I felt like that kind of stuck. And then eventually, like, the coaching staff does need to push back and be like, we want to do the things you like, but we also are going to put in like 5 play action dropbacks from under center. I know it's not your favorite, but it works and it helps our offense be better. And I think Joe would be like, yeah, for sure. But that has to happen. And someone from outside the organization might be more willing as an offensive coordinator, what have you, to have that conversation or inject that idea, whereas everyone else might have gotten pretty comfortable with it and trust Joe, which is a good thing. But like there's positives and negatives to that. And I think we've seen that with some of the static feelings of the offense a little bit the last couple of years. Some fresh ideas would be really good and really beneficial. The same way film guys and analytics guys and, news breaking guys can all get together and do a better show than just, a bunch of news guys trying to be like, well, I think I can break down film, or I think we know the salary cap, right?
Hey, you just said, let's all get together. We'll have our own show. It'd be great.
There we go. Whole Bengals panel.
I like it. All right. So somebody, I don't remember who it is, and I'm sorry I give you the shot you out of here, but I can't remember. Message me on, I don't remember, it's Facebook or Twitter, or Instagram. I don't remember, but they were talking about how on the RPO, Jake seemed like he would give the ball to the running back a little bit more than Joe would. And I came back with this is kind of been my thought, and Cap was on the same wavelength with me, is Joe sitting and watching Jake run it and run the offense and everything and run the ball a little more. I think it's going to give Joe a little bit more of a different perspective. Again, like you just said, he's not going to be in the trenches. He's going to get a different view of it next year because I preface this to Peyton Manning. When he was younger, Peyton would throw the ball all the time. And they kept telling him, run the ball. You got Edgerrin James, run the ball. The older he got, the more he ran the ball, more he mixed it up more. That's where I'm hoping with this part where Joe can sit back and watch, that he can see, like, all right, because sometimes he's Joe Burrow, I make all the money, I need to make the throw. I need to put the game on my shoulder.
And he's a superstar. Yeah. I mean, he is. And so he thinks natural. That he can get more than what the run play would get. Right. And I understand that confidence and I love it. But to your credit, I think it was like through a week 5, even with him being hurt and clearly hobbled, they were still passing on light boxes when RPOs would dictate you should run the ball. When walking up to the line with a run play called dictates you should run the ball, and he would check out of it or he would throw the passing option. They were passing at a 70% rate. It was number 1 in the league, which just shows like, hey, this is not how it's supposed to be. Even the analytics guys who love passing the ball and say running the ball is not as valuable will still tell you in that scenario, that's when you run the ball.
And one of the thing is that's what was cracks me because everybody kept getting mad at Zach. You got to run the ball. You got to run the ball. But if it's an RPO, it's Joe. He's the one that's got the ball in his hand. He either gives it to the running back or he doesn't. So that's where I kept going. It might be more on Joe of throwing it too much. Now I'll get to T. Brooks here, and this is not what we were talking about. It's so early, basically too early to be talking about breaking the team and rebuilding. That is not what we were saying. We were not talking about breaking up the team.
I think he's probably talking about the coaching staff a little bit, but I think that's comparing it to the absolute. First of all, this coaching staff's been together, including Frank Pollock, for 3 years now?
3 years now.
The offensive defensive coordinator, everybody else has been here for 5.
5. Yep.
Right.
Yep. 5.
So this is hardly the extreme of Carolina of we gave you 9 weeks. We don't like what we see. We're going to fire you. Okay. So let's relax with that comparison a little bit.
It's not.
If you've gone 3 years, at what point do you say maybe we should just get some fresh ideas, some fresh perspective? Not saying someone's been so bad that you should be fired, but
just change it up.
When things have stagnated, sometimes you have to say, look, things are just not working out. We want to go a different direction. And it's like a breakup with a girlfriend when you guys want 2 different things, right? It's like, you're not wrong, I'm not wrong. Like we're growing apart. We need something different than what we needed when we started, right? And maybe that's Frank Pollock, where you say, hey, originally we were going to be an under center wide zone team. When we came in here, that's our background. But now we've gone more to a shotgun heavy gap scheme. And though you're a good offensive line coach and you've done well for us, we might want to go a different direction that plays to our strengths a little bit more. And I hate to break it to you, but the way the contracts are structured, the team is going to break up. That's why we call it the core. Right?
And that's what I was more talking about is I just rattle off how many guys that are free agents. They're not going to sign all of them. I mean, they just
Tyler
can't.
Boyd's almost 30. DJ Reader's 30.
I mean, I still want
to be expensive. Cheeto is off injury and going to be going on his 29-year-old cornerback season. There are going to be hard decisions to be made, especially when you're paying $30-some-odd million, $35-some-odd million to your defensive ends, and then you want to pay another $10 million to your interior D line, but you got to pay Jamar Chase, and you're paying Joe Burrow, and you're paying Joe Mixon still, and I would love. Yeah, I would love to re-sign DJ. I'm kind of getting in my head that he might not be. The 2 guys for me that I think are almost a must to re-sign. One of them I don't think is going to happen because of his agent. Is first of all Jonah Williams. I think, and you and me talk about him for the last 3 or 4 years. You've been on the show that we like Jonah Williams. I think Jonah Williams has proven he's a really good right tackle. I think that would help the offensive line in general. They have the same 5 guys come back next year, despite however you guys think this offensive line played. Last week they played really well. They have had games where they played well, but if you keep moving guys in and out of your offensive line, it's not going to help. So if you keep Jonah Williams back there, I think that's huge. And I would love to keep T, but Evan, I think his agent is not going to let him sign with the Bengals, or not. His agent just wants to get him to free agency. Not that he doesn't want him to sign with the Bengals. He wants T to get the free agency. That's his own goal. Hot take. I think he may want the tag, and here's why. Because coming off of a depressed statistical season,
right,
playing with Jake Browning again, not trying to slight Jake Browning,
right.
But if you're telling me he can come back next year, play on the tag, and get a fully guaranteed deal that's $20+ million, that he gets to play on and rehab his value with Joe Burrow with an improved offense, ideally, right?
Yep.
That helps his value and changes the math from him from, I can make 22, 23, 24 a year to his agent can go to some team that has crazy cap dollars like the Bears or like they did with DJ Moore, right? And say, hey, you guys desperately need a receiver. You've been looking for one for 4 years. Here's one right here. Sign him to a $28, $29 million deal. And I think it also behooves him to wait until guys like Michael Pittman sign their deal, because then he can go, I'm not part of that Terry McLaurin, DJ Moore $25 million tier. Look at these recent receivers. I need more than them. I've outproduced Michael Pittman, blah, 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 right? So I think the tag works out for him, and I think it works out for the Bengals getting another year of T, not paying out the big guarantee. You can pay out the guarantee, but you don't have to put money in escrow that you can't touch for 2-3 years, whatever else, right? So I think it's all good for them. I don't think a trade happens, though I think it probably should at that point, because we know the Bengals like to overvalue their players. If someone wants to offer a second, they're going to want a first, and something's not going to get done. So I think tag and play out the year is the most likely scenario for them.
That's where I would be absolutely shocked if they don't tag him. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're not, because somebody, I can't remember who was on the show. Well, that's an awful lot of money to pay for a wide receiver. I'm like, yeah, but it's better than letting him go and getting absolutely nothing for him, which is what would happen. So,
well, now the other thing is they love their third round comp picks, right? So if he gets that $25-30 million deal, that'll be a third round comp pick, and they'll say, hey, we got a year out of him and we got a third rounder instead of we could have gotten a second rounder from a bad team that
I've said this. I'll ask you, what would you it said, just say they tag and trade T. I said, I mean, I'd love to get a first rounder, but I said worst case will be a second and a fifth is where I would be. That to me, that'd be the least. That'd be the least. I'll put it not worst case, the least that I would take for him.
Right. I definitely think it's second, and the tough part is because this is the Laramie Tunsil, Jamal Adams scenario that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
I am a firm believer, unless it's a quarterback or a top 5 tackle, right? You do not trade multiple premium picks or premium picks for the right to sign a guy to a contract.
See, that's I think he'd have to, for that to happen, they would have to agree to a contract extension. What T would have to agree to a contract extension with that team.
Right. And that's the tough part. It's if you're going to go ahead and give T Higgins $30 million anyways, or $28 million anyways, why not just wait until he hits free agency and give him that $28 million, especially if you're a team that's rebuilding and wants that pick or needs that pick. You don't want to give up a first rounder for a guy who has no years left on his deal, because it'll be the last year of his rookie deal. So he definitely, the sooner they trade him, the more advantageous it'll be, because if he still has that rookie year, when he signs that new contract, they can push money into that rookie year cap hit to make it more palatable the rest of the way. So the clock is kind of ticking as soon as that tag happens. We know the Bengals are not the quickest to the phone. They don't go calling people. People call them. Sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't. So we'll see. But I agree with your assessment on T. I definitely think that DJ Reader, if I know defensive tackles who get close to 30 start slowing down and breaking down.
He's still having a good year, though.
That's the thing, is he's still having a great year. He's not showing those signs. Being a nose tackle, it's not as important that you're twitched up and athletic. And I think, yes, you can find his heir apparent probably in the middle rounds. You can get a nose tackle, and
which the Bengals have done really good at that. I mean,
right. And so I don't want to say like it's a dire need. You definitely say 3-tech is more. If you're going to bring in a younger guy, I would love to pay DJ Reader and play there. And I think he also is the most likely out of him and Cheeto and T to be healthy and cheaper as well, because I think Cheeto might look at Stephon Gilmore getting $10 million a year and say, hey, I played as a top 10 or a top corner for 2-3 years. I got injured, but like Stephon Gilmore did too, and he's 30. So like,
I also think the draft of DJ Turner that's the writing on the wall for Cheeto, I thought, and the way he's played. Yes, he's gotten burned, but he's played pretty good for his rookie year.
Yeah, and also when you think about Cheeto, he got drafted. He was not a hot name on the market when the Bengals got him. He's making $7 million a year. He may be looking for that final payday and trying to cash in, which I don't blame him whatsoever. But that may price him out of where the Bengals feel comfortable paying him with Cam Taylor-Britt, with DJ Turner, and Mike Hilton still on the roster.
All right, I'm gonna get the Keith here comment. He said, "I agree with trying to keep the O-line together, with the exception of Volson. Draft the best offensive guard available and sign the best offensive guard available in free agency." I
that's over. I'll say, going and getting 2 guards right now. Yeah, a veteran guard and then draft capital it's a bit much.
I'm always okay with drafting an offensive lineman. I think you should draft an offensive lineman somewhere. You do not draft an offensive lineman in the offensive guard in the first round. You don't. They're second rounders. So that is where, I agree with you. But the Volson hate drives me nuts. I mean, And again, Dave Latlis forgot more about offensive line play than I'll ever know. And he has said it, and Duke Tobin has said it. It takes 3 years to really evaluate what an offensive line, how he does. So for me, I don't think, unless they get somebody awesome in the draft, Volson's not going anywhere. He's going to be your starting left guard next year.
I see you, Keith. He says draft or sign a guy. That I can get on board with. If you want to bring in some cheap veteran competition, okay. Guys, I'm going to give a reality check here real quick, okay? Because this is something we need to do with Bengals fans from time to time. Because I know we're all traumatized by the offensive line. I get it. I am too. If Cordell Volson is your worst offensive lineman, you are doing very well. You probably have a top 10 offensive line roster in the league. Every line has 1 or 2 and sometimes 3 Cordell Volsons. He gets a lot of the attention, a lot of the pressure, a lot of the targets by other defensive coordinators who are trying to get him with twists and stunts. They're sending everything they can at him because you're not going to send that at Ted Karras and Alex Kappa and Orlando Brown. You're going to attack the 4th round FCS guard who's in his 2nd year. So there's a little bit of like a corner giving up a lot of yards, but he has 70% of the targets coming his way, right? The teams keep picking on him, right? Mm-hmm. Eventually you're going to give up those opportunities if they keep coming at you. So there's a little bit of game planning there. Can you improve on the position? Absolutely. But I've always said free agency is for needs. Drafting is for good players. So if a good guard falls to you,
draft them.
If the best guard in the entire draft that's supposed to be a top 10 pick falls to you at the top of the 2nd, draft them. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's how the Bengals.
They don't need to reach for anybody. Yeah, don't reach for nothing. Still, the Bengals still don't need to reach for anything. They're still at that point with this team.
Right. So whether that's tackle, 3-tech, whatever it is, again, patch up with some spackle, the needs in free agency, and then go ahead and attack in the draft, especially since you got to get cheaper. Some of these premium positions, and sometimes you do have the nice melding of team need. You know, maybe you do get there and you say, hey, our best tackle and our best 3-tech are on here. Sweet. Like we can go ahead and just pick and choose whatever else we want to do. But you don't want to have another Billy Price situation where you say, we have to take the tackle. We're at pick 14. Mm-hmm. Oh, crap. 3 tackles got picked in the top 10. We got to get the next guy because we didn't sign Jonah Williams. All right, here we go. We're going to take this guy, and he's got to start.
Yep.
And it's the same thing you said where even if you do draft a guy, even if he is a high-drafted guy, usually you have to wait 2 to 3 years before you – even Penny Sewell played solid his rookie year, but is now 3 years later one of the better pass protectors in the NFL. It takes 2 to 3 years to get the technique caught up with other veteran defensive linemen who've been doing this for 8 years now.
And he played Division II. How was I putting that up? Yeah, that is a factor.
That's a factor. Your strength, your conditioning, getting all the functional strength up to where grown men who've been in weight programs for 5, 6, 7, 8 years now. Mm-hmm. The technique is higher. The level of strength and competition is higher. It takes time to adjust to that, and it takes time to get your body where it needs to be to compensate for that and your technical skills. So I'm not writing off Volson yet, but I completely understand wanting to improve the position. I would just reduce my expectations for any rookie coming in for 2 to 3 years in the offensive line, which is why I constantly say sign your offensive line, draft your running back, because I'd much rather pay $12 million to a quality guard that I know is going to be good than when I can just draft a couple of mid-round running backs and we see what happens with.
That's why I think signing Joe Williams is huge. They have to sign him. That's where I'm at. But I'm gonna get this out here real quick.
Yeah, get ready for him to be making $17 million a year. I'm telling you right now.
Oh yeah, he will. He go on. I mean, because he can play left and right tackle now. He's proven it. So anyway, we are number one on the Jonah Williams number one fan team here. But I'm gonna get this Friday. Don't forget, I'll be doing a show live at Hail Mary's in Cheviot. You guys get there, hang out, drink some Jackpot Joey beer. You can enter the contest to win 4 Bengals Colts tickets. Also, you can enter to win that cool Jackpot Joey flag that's in the background there. Again, this is at Hail Mary's in Cheviot. Show starts at 5:30. So it'll be for me and ZTV. So you guys can actually meet Joey Carr. He'll be actually running the show. So it'd be actually kind of nice. I could just sit there and I could be like Evan and Malik on the show. They could just sit there and back on their laptop and just talk. I don't have to sit there and keep reading comments and try to push buttons and all that stuff. So it'd be like I'm almost like an actual like legit guy for once. Man, it'd be kind of cool. Now this is funny. My son Chandler here says I have an announcement to make. I will be conducting the first slamming of a Henny and a Heine this season. Now, what a Henny and a Heine is a drink that he made. You take a Heineken, you drink the neck out of it, you fill that part up with Hennessy, and you down it. It
does not sound like it's for me. I'm glad you found something that you really enjoy.
It's really not that bad. I didn't say I was going to do it. I've done it before. He's going to do it. So
well, I wish you the best of luck in keeping that down.
You are the king of shotgunning beers. I'll just put
no, I am a participant in shotgunning beers. I'm a king of drinking whiskey doubles. Let's put it that way. I'll take that crown.
So let's just. I do want to find out about your trip here at down to Jacksonville. How was it? I mean, what did you guys get? Did you do anything cool other than go to the game? Did you go to pregame stuff? Everything? What did you guys get to do there?
Yeah, so man, it was obviously we touched down there and beautiful beach house that they got there. We got a lot of video content for you. You can check out my Twitter page. You can check out our YouTube, and that's a lot of stuff on there. Jim Beam, it depends. If I'm mixing with Coke, I usually try and stay with like the Makers, the Jim Beam, the Wild Turkey. If I'm drinking straight, I'll usually try and do something a little bit nicer like Woodford Reserve, Old Forester, Four Roses, stuff like that. So
Evan's a sophisticated drunk, okay?
I usually am. If I'm drinking for pleasure and leisure, then I'll do the straight. But if I'm drinking to get drunk, then we'll be doing the whiskey Coke. But
Apple Beam guy.
But no, we got to do a lot. We did some live streams for the Alabama game, just hanging out, talking about the game as it was going on. Did the same for the 49ers-Eagles game, which was a good time. Just filmed a lot of content while we were out there, threw some football on the beach, got some good food, got some fried gator and waffles, which was delicious. Great breakfast. Loved it. Hadn't had some gator in a while. But, yeah, we got to go to the game, man. We were down there at Bengal Jim's tailgate having a good time. Got to see some people from Cincinnati that I hadn't seen in a while from back in the school days and parents of teammates and stuff like that. So that was cool. But we got to go down on the field before the game, the Goodberries and I and Dave Burke, and we got to chop it up with Marcus Bailey because Dave Burke helped him find his way to Purdue. So he came over and was hanging out with us and talking a little bit. So that was a cool experience. And so just getting down there and obviously being at the game was awesome. And Jacksonville was really good to us. And all the fans were good. The experience was really cool. Walking in and seeing all the lights before the game was a really neat experience.
It looked like you guys had a lot of fun. I mean, especially at the outcome of the game. Now, I have a question because it looked like that there were a ton of Bengal fans there. It looked like because they tried to do a blackout. I don't think that worked out too good for them.
It did not, man. Every time T caught a pass, it was just the entire stadium was. It was funny. I saw some people saying they could hear it through the TV. So Bengals fans definitely showed out and traveled, man. You can get. You can sell a Cincinnati person on a trip to Florida in December or any day of the week. I feel like that's an easy sell.
Oh yeah.
So everybody showed out. Everybody was there for sure.
That was one I wanted to go to, but I didn't have the funds this year to go. I went to Tampa last year, and we took that stadium over. That was an absolute blast down there. Watching.
I love Jacksonville, but if I'm picking sides, I got family in Clearwater. I like Tampa a lot. I think. I love the trip. Thank you, First Star. Thank you, everybody. But Tampa next year could be cool if we end up playing them somehow.
Yeah, I got my wife's originally from down there, so her whole family's down there. So I had to take a victory lap when we beat the GOAT down there. It was pretty cool. Let's see here. Yes, you're right, Keith. No, it's off subject, but what do you think of the Reds signing of? I can't even say his name. I personally like it. I think they're either trading somebody because they got too many infielders, and people are going to hate this, or Ellie's going to the outfield. That's what I'd say. I've been saying this for a while. I think Ellie Lynch is going to go to the outfield, but that's what I think. I mean, because I'll put it this way: this is the way. if they go with what they have right now, you got Marte at third, Matty Bass at short, Indy at second, the guy the other side, which I can't say his name, first base, TJ Fried on left, Elliott center, and Steer in right. I'd take that lineup. I think that'd be pretty good. But, everybody's like, well, you have two infielders that are in the outfield. Well, you got two out. You got Steer's already proven he can play the outfield. Ellie's a freaking a unicorn. He's an elite athlete. He can play center field. I think he'll be fine. So, anyway, that's my thoughts on the Reds. I don't know if they're going to trade Indy or not. We'll talk some Reds tomorrow. Let's get to your thoughts on the Bengals Colts game here.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a very good shot of beating the Colts. And the funny thing is, when they beat the Colts, they will be mathematically in the playoffs. Because right now they're only one game out. Now you got more games to play and all that stuff, but the season we're in after they beat them, they're in. What's your thoughts on the possibility of beating the Colts? I mean, the Colts they're playing pretty good with Gardner Minshew. I will say this is not going to be any pushover game whatsoever. I think it's going to be a game like we just had Monday night, to be honest.
So I know that Gardner Minshew has been, performed well coming in the past. I think a little bit of playing behind Blake Bortles and such will do that for you. You become everybody's favorite. And I know he's played well in spots. They are succeeding in spite of him this season. That is completely fair to say. So let's just look at the overall team, and then we'll get a little more into kind of player specifics. Colts, in terms of EPA per play, they're 20th on offense in the league. Their drop back success is about 17th, and their rush EPA is 22nd. They've been achieving their success rates in terms of getting the yardage they need, but they haven't been making huge strides on offense, making huge plays. Flipping over to the defense, I think this is where the tougher part is for the Colts. They've got some good young guys playing well. They've got a sound scheme where they try not to give up explosives. I think that'll lend itself to a little bit of a weakness in the run game that can be exploited. But in terms of their defensive strength, they're 14th in EPA per play allowed, and they are 9th against drop back EPA. So a top 10 passing defense in terms of EPA. But in terms of rush EPA, they're 28th in the league. So I think part of that comes from playing that too high, playing that soft zone, trying to keep everything in front of you, and then rally and tackle, make things easier. They're also third. They're giving up the third most rushing touchdowns. They can be exploited on the ground. So this new rushing attack that they have with Mixon and Chase Brown and kind of playing against this, there is going to be opportunity to take advantage of that. Right. So talking a little bit about Minshew before, I know I brought him up. I know if you look at just the counting stats, 10 touchdowns to only 7 interceptions. Seems like for a backup, you're doing okay. Right. But when you look a little bit closer at it, he has 10 big-time throws, but 21 turnover-worthy plays. So only 7 of his 21 plays that could have been interception have been intercepted. So that's just a lot of turnover luck there.
Right.
And he also has 8 fumbles. So there is a lot of opportunity here.
So you're saying there's a chance, Evan. There's a chance.
Their passing defense is really what you have to look out for. But if you can find ways to be successful in the run game, stay ahead of schedule, I really think that there is opportunity. I don't want to slight Michael Pittman and what he's doing, because obviously with Gardner Minshew playing this bad, there's something propping up the offense, and it's been him and Jonathan Taylor, who will not be playing this game, with Zach Moss. The speedy running backs are what give our linebackers trouble, right? The outs to the flat, trying to cover the boundary with that and cover the whole field. That's the weakness of the linebacking core, and I don't think Zach Moss is that, right? I don't see a tight end on this team that is going to be that for them, so I don't anticipate that being a problem. I do like Josh Downs a lot. I know he's been dealing with some soft tissue injuries, but he's a rookie who's really been standing out. But again, not much on this offense that you're scared of. So when you were able to kind of contain, I know he was dealing with injury, but Travis Etienne and Christian Kirk was out, but Evan Ingram kind of went and did his thing, which we would expect as kind of that faster weapon, attacking those linebackers and safeties. I do think there is plenty of opportunity for this defense to take advantage of Gardner Minshew, of some of these less efficient opportunities and drives and plays that the Colts have been putting out. as long as the offense can stay on schedule, I really think that this can end up being a Bengals win of 3+ points.
Right. Sounds good to me. I mean, I agree with everything you said there. And that's what is exciting about this. And that's what's so funny about week to week. Last week we were talking draft picks. This week we're talking potential playoffs and stuff. So I said, I think it's a good matchup. I think if the Bengals run the ball and play like they did on Monday night, again, prefaces, I don't know if Jake Browning going to play as good as he did. I think he's going to play close to that. I think that's more of what he is than what we saw against the Steelers. If they do that, they run the ball a lot, I think the Bengals get that W, and we'll find out Sunday. Evan, you've been on for 55 minutes.
Woo!
I appreciate it, man. Tell everybody where they can follow you. Find your podcast with the Sit Down with Malik, what you got going on Twitter, and anything else you want to plug before I let you go, brother.
Right, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at @emcphil, spelled exactly how it sounds. Got a lot of stats out there that I just kind of find, little fun tidbits that I put out there and just kind of talk about Bengals narratives. We got the State of the Jungle, where we talk about it's our live Bengals show, talking everything Bengals, answering questions, doing all that fun stuff every Wednesday, 7 p.m. You can find that on the First Star Media YouTube channel or on the Sit Down YouTube channel at SitDown513. We got the links in my profile and Malik Wright's profile. You can check us out there. We got plenty of great content coming out every week. So hope you guys will join us for that sometime soon.
Exactly. I've commented a couple of times on there. And
we see you in there, Iceman. We see you.
I always appreciate you guys always shout me out. So I do appreciate it. I don't get to watch it every Wednesday, but when I see you guys on, I try to comment, say, hey, I'm here, I'm watching. So
I appreciate it, man. We love everybody who tunes in, man. We couldn't do it without you guys.
Exactly. That's the way I feel, dude. I do this every day. I can't do it without people watching. So Evan, I appreciate you, dude. You've been on, I don't know how many times on here, but every time you come on here, it's a blast. I love all the information you got. You guys do a great job over there with the First Star Logistics and the Sit Down and everything you guys got going on. So keep rocking, and we're gonna get that dub Sunday.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Take care, everybody. Who day?
Who day? All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. That was a good dude. Go follow him. Go find him. I'm sure if you're watching me, you guys are already watching Malik. So I don't know if I'm actually helping get any more subscribers to Malik's show, but make sure you guys go check that out. They're on every Wednesday. Malik's always got the Right Sports Network, too. You can check that out as well. So we got the garbage matchup of the Thursday Night Football. I just made that meme. I wish I could put it. I don't have it on my computer here, but I put it out on Twitter. But that's kind of how I feel about tonight's quarterback matchup. If you can see it, if you haven't found it, go find me. Find it. It's on my Twitter and Instagram, Facebook. This matchup is garbage. I might actually watch the NBA game tonight. I actually got the Pacers on right now. So Laura Steele, if you're watching, just so I do have the Pacers game on. It's right over there. I've been watching it while I've been on the show. So anyway, let's get to the Facebook groups. Let me live stream. And I appreciate every single one of them. They are Who Dey Nation, Who Dey Legion, Bearcat Ruckus, Radical Reds, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar. And then, of course, you follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter X, and TikTok. Twitter X handle is at Jeff A. Trenopole. TikTok is at Iceman90. Threads, Facebook, and Instagram are all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'll be pulling a set off later on tonight, putting on the podcast. It's on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcasts. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Leave a comment and a 5-star review so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. It just helps the algorithm of the podcast. YouTubers, you're at 2,444. I know I'm demonetized, but please keep subscribing. Please keep hitting those thumbs up. I got 18 people watching right now. I had 22 at one point. I got 2 likes. Give me some more thumbs up. And subscribe. Like I said, all that stuff just helps with the algorithm. Again, I don't know what I'm going to do. Maybe I just won't make any money on this. I have no idea. But I thank you guys for all your support and everything. Like I said, I couldn't do this without you guys. You guys are awesome. Tomorrow, again, I'm going to plug this one more time. If you guys are in the city of Cincinnati on the west side, we will be at Hail Mary's in Cheviot live at 5:30 doing a live show. It'll be me, Joe Farsing, Elliot from Chatterbox Sports is supposed to join. I'm not sure how the link's going to work and everything, so maybe he'll be on, maybe he won't. But we will be giving away four tickets to the Bengals-Colts game The winner will be announced at the end of the show. You can also enter to win a Jackpot Joey giveaway there. So make sure you guys are there. We're going to have a good time talking Bengals, drinking some delicious Jackpot Joey beer. Hail Mary's is a good spot to watch the game. They got a freaking wall of a TV. So we want that's where we watched the Thursday night game. Unfortunately, the night Joe got hurt. But still, you guys should still go there. Come there, hang out with me Friday. It's going to be a lot of fun. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful night. I'll see you tomorrow. Like I said, at Hail Mary's. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
I'm from the city where they gotta play up.
Yeah.
I'm from the city where they gotta play up.
I
Coin flippers trying to pay up.
Hey,
I'm from the city where they gotta play up.
they still
I'm from the city
gotta
where they gotta
play
play up.
us,
I'm
man.
from the city where they gotta play up. Coin flippers trying to pay up.
Go. Started out with who they done got me started. Call Katie, tell him make room for the Lamborghini. I trust 27 to lead us through any battle. We had DK out there press. You seen how we did Seattle? Went down 1-3 and then we hop back on that saddle. Everybody want T, but you can't have him cause we got a lethal 9 on the side and he gon' always red dot him. 29 got him on lockdown. This Taylor Britt Island. And you know Jamar probably open. That boy 7-11. Who your best cornerback? Cause my receivers gon' shred him. And y'all don't wanna go one-on-one with Lou's playbook. 91 step on that field, them quarterbacks look shook. A couple weeks went by and we done stacked us up some wins. Brad Logan still with us, still the turnover twins. Uzier and man-to-man, you probably shouldn't throw at him. Orlando Brown came to town, showed us what a bodyguard is. I don't think they want no smoke with us. Forever standing on business, this ain't no joke for us. Money Mackey line it up, that boy forever clutch. Put up whoever you want, it's never slow for us. Ain't nothing changed, 21 still lurking in the cut. 83 reasons why they can't with us. Zach Taylor top dog, it's always win or bust. Hand the ball to Chase Brown, probably won't get touched. Chuck sizzle back deep to receive the punt. Probably gon' run it back, I feel like he the one. Doing my shuffle on him still, I feel like Icky Woods. Old line protecting Joe like a tiger should. Imagine having Trent Irwin as your fourth string. If VJ Hill hit you, you feel what that force bring. 1, 2, 3, nah, we need 4 rings. This the jungle, you can't come in here and pull strings. Look close, look how DJ read that offense. Send Hubbard and Osai, yeah, we all in. Nick Scott ball hawking overwatching. Dax Hill an interception that look flawless. It's really hard to lose when K. Adams rule for you. If you need a couple yards, Erg gon' get it for you. We got Tanner Hudson now, Sample still too. Yoshi gon' go get that ball just like a dog do. Already knew they had to play us, but this part two. I'm from the city where they gotta. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. It's time to pay up. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. I'm from the city where they gotta. I'm from the city where they gotta play us. It's time to pay up. Hold that.